In the past 20 years, Kenya's population has grown in leaps and bounds, causing a sharp increase in food demand. According to wellness website myhealth.com, majority of Kenyans prefer beef to other supplementary dishes. The demand for meat in Kenya is very high, with about 300 cows being slaughtered every day at the Kenya Meat Commission factory for consumption in the capital city alone. Besides beef, mutton, pork, and poultry, there is another type of meat that a small section of Kenyans have the privilege of consuming: game meat. Contrary to the current lifestyle, game meat has been a part of the traditional diet of most Kenyan communities since time immemorial.
Natoka Narok County. Okay. Ambapo hiyo unapouliza haya yote mimi mwenyewe nimeona na macho yangu. Hata wild beast. In fact ni nyama mzuri sana. Yeah. Hippopotamus the same. Good meat.
But with the advent of urbanization, consumption of game meat has moved into more formal establishments, with select hotels being licensed to serve it. One such establishment is the Carnival restaurant in Nairobi. Away from the capital, the Maasai ostrich farm, located 45 kilometers south of Nairobi in the dusty Kitengela township, is another such establishment. This 200-acre farm is home to hundreds of ostriches reared for tourism and their meat. This farm attracts over 700 local and international tourists who come to eat ostrich meat prepared in the farm's hotel every weekend. The price of game meat is very high in comparison to the regular livestock meat sold in butcheries.
1,000 grams is 4,000. We serve with French fries, roast potato, and barbecue sauce. Okay. That is for 1,000 grams. And for 500 grams, we serve at 2,500. That comes with French fries also, with pepper sauce or barbecue sauce.
For you to have an ostrich meat in your plate, you have to dig deep into the pocket. But the reason why we sell it at that price, because if you look at the economics, like for you to raise an ostrich, it is actually expensive. The number two, if we sell it like cheaply, it means we are bringing more people to be partakers in the same. But in Kenya, we don't allow people to consume game meat. And if you consume game meat, it could be illegal.
This high cost limits its customer base to the middle and the upper class of the society.
It's soft, it's good. We don't take it every day because it's expensive, but it gives us over treat once in a month. Yeah.
Despite game meat being popular, there is the other side of the coin. That is wildlife conservation. Human-wildlife conflict is a common occurrence, with each incident leaving a trail of destruction and casualties on either side. This trend has led to some people killing wild animals for meat with the excuse of self-defense against attacks on their farms and livestock. This is one of the major reasons that led to the Kenyan government banning the sale of unlicensed game meat a decade ago.
The law provides for, which you're enforcing, and providing regulations and mechanism for its enforcement is matters relating to licensing. that any partner, any person in this country and elsewhere may request the service to provide for a license for them to utilize wildlife for whatever reasons, whether for cultural practices, for many things that they want to do. What therefore they must do is to ensure that they satisfy the requirement that arise from issuance of whichever license for whichever species of wildlife they request for.
The unregulated game meat was biting into the already sensitive population in the wild. To protect already endangered species, private centers and conservancies have come up in order to try and reverse the extinction process. One such sanctuary is the African Fund for Endangered Wildlife Giraffe Center. This center protects the Rothschild giraffe and helps in restocking of the animals in the national reserves and parks.
The purpose actually for the breeding program is to help restock the national reserves, the Kenya wildlife parks and national reserves with the same species.
In order to discourage the illegal hunting of wildlife for game meat, justified by supposed misplaced benefits of consumption of the meat.
Mamba, unajua kikwetu huko sisi tumetoka huko Walego. Na unasikianga Lego inaitwa 30 yen. Sasa 30 yen inamaanisha wako na madawa mingi. Sasa hiyo kikula ni kama umekula ile kipawa chake.
In most cases, people hunt for game meat because one, there's poverty, and another one is that it's cultural.
One of them is changing lifestyles, and the other one is about the issues to do with the need, because we need, as human, there's a lot of demand for meat, and it's growing in urban and rural, and lack of alternative sources of this proteinous food, because game meat is about protein. So when we lack this alternative protein in the rural or urban, then it resorts to hunting down of wildlife.
These organizations, together with the government, work with the local communities in wildlife conservation areas to give them an alternative source of income and information on the importance of wildlife management and their care.
We come in as a bridge between the community and government agencies. For example, you realize that the government is actually advanced stage in terms of development, being a developing country, and most developments are interfering with the wildlife habitats. At the same time, individuals who are within the country are also aspiring to better their lives. So in this regard, most people are encroaching into dispersal areas and wildlife corridors. So as the East African Wildlife Society, we come in as advocates of proper change and following of due diligence, because we look at wildlife habitats and wildlife, as it were, as things that need to be protected and have no voice. So we are the voice of conservation, we are the voice of these ecosystems, we are the voice of the wildlife. So we come in and bring communities on board and help them address issues of human-wildlife conflict, and even them as human beings encroaching into wildlife habitats, and what can be done in terms of livelihoods. How do they obtain their livelihoods without interfering with the wildlife corridors and dispersal areas? How do they construct houses without doing the same?
Despite the fact that people are still consuming game meat, they are ready to support government policy on the total ban of the business if such a policy is introduced.
Sababu mnyama ni vitu za kuangaliwa na watalii. Watalii wanatoka ng'ambo kuja kuona wanyama. Sasa ya nini tule? Afadhali mle mbuzi ile mnafuga na ng'ombe ile mnafuga, kuku. Hizo ndio nyama halali.
If it is allowed, everyone to be taking game meat, then everyone will be running to the forest to hunt. And there are those animals which are very few in our country, especially the elephants, which are not so many. If it is allowed, then it will be okay. Some will be forgotten. Some animals like elephants will be a forgotten thing. So I would support the government.
Kwa sababu naona hao wanyama ndio wanatuletea wageni kutoka nje, ndio wanawaingizia serikali mapato. Kwa hiyo na wase kwa support na nitaunga mkono.
For my country purpose, I can forbid that, but if I was given elsewhere, I will eat.
Although wildlife leaders agree that a total ban is necessary, they feel that until the policies that are already in place are properly implemented, the continued sale of game meat will open up more loopholes that will result in wildlife habitats being encroached on and the population being continuously decimated.
Na sisi wananchi tunaangalia upande wa tumbo. Kani tofautisha mambo ya utalii, hizo foreign affairs ambao wanakuja kuangalia mambo ya wanyama ambao wako pale. Sisi tunaangalia tutashiba, tulale, tuamke.
The key issue is that we have a weak enforcement of our laws, because we have good laws in this country, and the moment they are well enforced, then we'll be reversing the trends. Another thing is about we need to diversify the livelihoods of the communities so that we have sources of protein for the community. For instance, poultry farming, rabbit keeping, that's a source of protein which can be diversified to the communities. We also need to ensure that the issues with forest fires and illegal degradation of deforestation are also curbed, so that we ensure that the animals remain within the protected areas. These are parks and the forests.
What I would advocate is that to some extent communities that are not really utilizing large parcels of land would give out their land in for easement purposes. Yeah, they give it to the government for easement purposes so that more wildlife corridors and dispersal areas are opened for animals other than this land staying idle. Because currently, as you are aware, there's a law that is coming on board that will not allow one person or rather one individual to own large parcels of land. So people with such large parcels of land would actually give them out for easements or lease them out for wildlife conservation.
The forensic club will unlock, that dispute by way of providing scientific proof that indeed what has been provided and presented before court is an exhibit of bushmeat, and therefore conviction are secured. That way, we'll be addressing a concern of ensuring that there are no more game meat on sale in the market, because we're able to enforce the law relating to bushmeat consumption. And secondly, we want to ensure that those who are authorized by law to certify meat are doing that, because if they certify game meat and it's proven to be indeed game meat later on in a court dispute, then we will be obviously looking for who certified it. And therefore, we are looking at a possibility of those people who are entrusted by law to inspect meat for consumption also being arraigned in court for committing a crime.
I wouldn't support game meat, not because of even the health issues, more like we are unable to control wildlife poaching because of liberalization of some markets. And so a complete ban on poaching for whatever reasons, or for harvest, wildlife culling for any reasons, would be prudent for now, until our systems are able to protect what is valuable, so that you say endangered species cannot be culled, I would say until systems are together, until we are able to have strong institutions to curb illegal wildlife trade, I wouldn't advise that we open up for bushmeat trade.